Let's play Shelter in Space. Each game comes with 2 decks of player cards, 2 sets of city cards, 2 quick reference cards, and an instruction booklet. Each player gets their own set of cards to prevent the spread of germs. The first thing you need to do is set up your city. Use the setup map to lay it out. Place your City 1 card here, your City 2 card over here, and City 3 card in the middle. Feel free to rearrange your city once you get a hang of the game. You'll play your active populations above, so make sure you have enough space. Now grab your player deck and find the 2 difficulty cards. These difficulty cards have a black border and they are Critical Care and Outbreak. Choose one to play with and put it in your deck, and take the other and leave it off to the side. Now shuffle your cards. We will go over the difficulty cards and what they do later in the game. To finish setup, deal 12 cards face down onto the infecting pile. These cards will be turned over one by one at the end of each turn into the discard pile. Take the rest of your cards and place them in the healthy pile. These will be the cards you draw into your hand at the start of every turn. Now, at the start of the game, all players draw 5 cards. There are 2 types of cards, population cards and action cards. Population cards must always be played into the active population when they are drawn. Keep your cards in order and keep similar numbers grouped together. Now pick a player to go first. Each player starts their turn by drawing 3 cards from the healthy pile. If they're population cards, play them into the active population. If they're action cards, you can use them to heal sick populations or hang on to them. How do cards get sick? Well, at the end of your turn, you'll flip over 1 card from the infecting pile. This card infects your active population. If a card is less than or equal to the infecting card, it is turned sideways to indicate that it is sick. With your turn over, player 2 will then repeat this process of draw 3, play cards, and then infect. The objective of this game is to send sets of healthy populations to Shelter in Space. You can send a population to Shelter in Space when there are 3 or 4 healthy cards in play. Remove them from the active population and place them on the Safe in Space card. Sets of 4 cards earn extra points. If you have a population with 3 cards in play and 1 or more is sick, it is not eligible for space launch. You can fix this using action cards like Test Kit to make the population healthy. Then send it to space. Let's review the infecting step at the end of your turn. Here you've drawn a 10. Oh no! If an infecting card matches one of your populations, it infects all of them with what's called a direct infect. All cards are turned sick. You must also turn 1 card sick for every population that is lower than the infecting card. If there are no healthy cards, the entire population goes critical and is sent to critical care. These cards will count against you as they strain the healthcare system. That was a rough round. The key to success in healthy populations in space are action cards. There are 4 types of action cards. Let's go over them now. Relief cards have a green border. These cards bring relief to your lowest sick population and any matching sick cards of other players. Here, your 2s and your opponent's 2s have been healed. Good news, bad news cards have a yellow border. A good news, bad news card is played against your opponent who has a healthy population that matches one of your sick populations. Discard this card to heal your entire population and infect their entire population. The prevent card with a purple border is placed on populations to increase their resistance value. Test kits with red border are used to heal entire populations of your choice. The prevent card is probably the trickiest card to use, so let's go over it now with some examples. It acts as an additional member to your populations and increases their resistance value to the sum total of all of the healthy cards in that population. I know that sounds confusing, so let's go over the math. Let's say I turn over a 5 as an infecting card. All cards lower than it should be infected. But with the prevent, the 3 has a new resistance value of 6. That's 3 for the healthy card and 3 for the prevent card, equaling 6. In the case of the 2s, you have 2 plus 2 plus 2 for the prevent, totaling 6, making them safe from the 5. Let's look at what happens when a 7 is drawn in this example. Here, the 7 is a direct infect on the 7, which unfortunately removes the prevent card. Sick cards do not count towards the resistance value. In this case, the resistance value is just 6, which is lower than the infecting card. If the total resistance value is less than the infecting card, the prevent takes the hit and is removed. The cards they are protecting stay unchanged. In this case, the 7 infecting removes all of the prevents. Prevent cards can also be moved from one population to another on your turn. They can even be doubled. Here, an infecting 8 is no match for 2 7s and a prevent, as well as the 4s, which are now a total of 16. Action cards can also show up in your infecting deck. If they do, read the red rules on the bottom of the card. Here, a prevent card was drawn from the infecting pile. It removes all prevent cards from your active population. Relief cards drawn from the infecting pile have the same effect as if played from your hand and immediately heal your lowest sick population and any corresponding sick populations of other players. Test kits drawn from the infecting pile target your highest level sick card and send it to critical care. The good news, bad news card drawn from the infecting pile is bad news for you and good news for your opponent. You get to pick which population to affect of your own and then heal any corresponding opponent cards. You can be strategic by picking a card that has no corresponding opponent card if you'd like. Let's go over those difficulty cards. You only play with one because they are brutal. The Outbreak card played from your hand sickens your opponent's entire population. A Critical Care card played from your hand sends all of your opponent's sick cards to critical care. It's best to play this card when your opponent has a lot of sick cards in play. Beware, if you play a difficulty card and your opponent has one in their hand, they can discard it to block you. Difficulty cards are not all bad news. If they show up in your infecting pile, they actually do good. An Outbreak card drawn from the infecting pile heals all of your sick cards. The Critical Care card drawn from the infecting pile is great news. It discharges all of the cards from your critical care. There is one caveat to this, and that is the cards, when discharged, are returned to your population as sick. You will need to heal them before they can be sheltered in space. On the 12th and last round of the game, you draw your last 3 cards from your healthy pile. You put your last population cards and notice you have 2 populations with only 2 healthy, and no third to get them to space. There's one last-ditch effort you can try, and that is to move or play a prevent card to any population with 2 healthy. At the end of the game, 2 population cards with the prevent can be sent to space. Remember, the prevent has to survive the last round of infection. In this example, the prevent on the 7 is lost to direct infect, but the 4s with a total resistance of 12 are safe. Don't forget to send them to space. The game is now over, and it's time to tell your score. Sick cards left in your active population have no value. Healthy cards left have a value of 1 point per every 3 healthy. Cards in critical care count against you. They are -1 point for every 3 in critical care. Now, let's look at what we've sheltered in space. Let's make some room to lay out the populations you've sheltered in space. You'll probably notice the populations have different colors. These indicate how many points they're worth once in space. Because lower cards are harder to get into space, they are worth more. Let's add this up. You get 3 points for your pink 2s, plus an additional point because it's a 4-card save. You get 3 points for your pink 4s, you get 2 points for your yellow 6s, and you get 1 point for your blue 8. Add your 1 point for your leftover healthy and subtract your critical care. In this game, you got a 9. Good job!